Hey, thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out early on a Sunday morning. I'm Dave Sandor, one of the co-founders of ZK Network. Lucas Cullen, co-founder and CTO.
How you doing? Thanks for coming out. Here to talk about the second coolest thing in crypto right now, obviously Bitcoin, price going to the moon. If you're looking for Bitcoin, you're in the wrong crowd. This is the up-and-coming layer 2 tech, ZK, the cool stuff that no one cares about.
So what is the Open ZK Network? So it's the first layer 2 that unites ZK Rollup technology with native ETH staking, restaking, and Stablecoin Rewards in a single platform. And that's a bit of a mouthful, but what does that mean for anyone as a user? It means you can bridge assets from the layer 1 to our layer 2. You get all the benefits of the layer 2, so low cost, high performance, all those things. But you also get the returns from native ETH staking and restaking, so all those returns that you would normally get on layer 1, and the same with the stable coins. And you can do that all with a single click, seamless user experience, very, very, very simple. And so from our perspective, it's a high degree of focus on making it as easy for the user to access the platform as possible. Lucas is going to talk a little bit more about technology, and then we'll get into the economics of the platform and how it works.
Yeah, cool, thanks, Dave. So unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know what layer 2 is. But for those who don't, the idea here is that you have a mainnet layer, like say Bitcoin or Ethereum, and when blocks get full or the network gets congested, how do we solve the scaling issues? I'm sure you've all heard about scaling issues over the last 5 years. When NFTs come out, the network gets congested. So the idea of layer 2s is to try and take some of that bandwidth to load and put it on another network, and then it ties back to the mainnet. So there's a few competing technologies in the Ethereum space right now. ZK technology and optimistic rollups. So we've chosen to use a zero knowledge proof and a fork of ZK Sync for our solution. So the idea is we take transactions and we can zip them up, or we can run them through a sequencer or a validator to prove that those transactions are legitimate, and then push them down to a layer 1 when applicable. Obviously, coming into the layer 1 incurs gas costs, so the idea is, like I said, using zero knowledge to take the load off the layer 1 network. Now, no good presentation isn't without a matrix, so here's one I prepared earlier to explain the benefits of it. So left-hand side or right-hand side, depending which way, I guess that's left-hand side. We got our ZK rollup, the optimistic rollup. So some of the benefits there, it's probably faster. I can't read so much. The finality is typically 7 days, but we've chosen a ZK zero knowledge solution. So perhaps the transactions are a little bit slower, but we settle immediately on layer 1 because the validator can verify that the payloads are correct through zero knowledge. Anything else, Dave? My eyes a bit.
No, I think that's about it. Look, one of the main benefits here is that you get fast finality versus optimistic rollup, and that means a lot when we get into kind of how our layer 2 works. One of the biggest issues, is removing your assets from the layer 2, and how long does that take? And you get a considerable amount of benefit from having the ZK rollup versus optimistic. So why do you need Open ZK Network? There's obviously a lot of layer 2s around, and there's probably going to be many more over the next 6 to 12 months. So you get all the benefits of a layer 2, speed, efficiency, low cost, all those things, and then you get the incentives and rewards, ETH staking, restaking, and the stablecoin rewards. And that's very important from a user perspective. Making it very easy for somebody to bridge the assets is something that we've focused on, like I said before, and to make it far easier than on the layer 1. So on the layer 1, if you want to stake, if you're not an experienced user, there's considerable effort in doing that. Same if you want to restake. This allows you to do it in a single click, and again, you get all the benefits of the layer 2.
I was going to say, Dave, before we go into that one of the things I like about the OpenZK is the elastic bridge. Did you want to quickly talk about that, or?
So one thing being part of or using some of ZK Sync stack, you kind of become part of the elastic chain. So there's benefits between all of those other chains that are using ZK Sync Stack, and that will obviously improve over time as more and more layer 2s adopt that, adopt that stack going forward, which I think is the most sort of battle-tested ZK rollup that's out there. So what do things look like when you bridge assets to the OpenZK network? So let's say you've got ETH or USDT in your wallet, go to the bridge, let's say you bridge ETH. The first thing that happens when you bridge that ETH, it's immediately, in the way we've got it currently set up, it'll be staked with Rocket Pool, so the liquid staking token, and that'll then immediately be restaked. So for instance, it can be restaked on EtherFi. We'll then issue you an Oz ETH on the layer 2, so you can trade that round and get some liquidity. And then on, underneath, obviously you've got the restaked exposure. In your wallet on the layer 2, we're going to have, you're going to have the Oz ETH, which will be able to be traded on a bunch of DeFi protocols and platforms that we're trying to bring to the network. So you'll have that liquidity, and then you'll have the returns on the, from the layer 1. Very similar to USDT. So if you bridge your USDT, that'll be swapped to USDS, and it'll be deposited into MakerDAO, so a non-custodial savings protocol. You'll be issued an Oz USD, and you'll be earning the returns based on the underlying kind of MakerDAO exposure, which is at the moment is sort of around that 8.5%. And then again, very, very simple if you want to withdraw your asset. So let's say you've bridged the asset, you're sitting with your Oz ETH or Oz USD on the network, you then want to withdraw. So for instance, the Oz ETH is then burnt, the restaking exposure is undone, then the staking is undone, and you're delivered the ETH with the rewards back to your wallet, and you can go on your way. That's all done almost instantly, so far quicker than some of the competitors that have a similar structure on an optimistic roll-up where you might be waiting 3 days, 7 days to get your assets back. This happens almost immediately.
And I'll just jump in there for a sec, Dave, if you don't mind. So also the bridging contracts are all on Ethereum, of course, open source. We'll be getting our boys over at Hashlock to check them out. So no rug pulls. Everyone can look at the code and make sure you can get your restaked ETH back out.
So we'll go through some of the fee mechanisms now and what we're looking at from a token perspective on the network. So going forward, you're going to be able to pay gas costs with both ETH and with the native token. So there's likely to be a token that's launched that's called OZK, or the gas costs will be able to be paid in either of those tokens. A portion of the fees that will be paid in OZK will be burnt. So there'll be a deflationary model for the token once it's launched. And then if you pay fees in ETH, a portion of that will be used to manage the volatility of OZK. So from a token perspective, you'll see a deflationary model going forward. It's likely that on day one, ETH will be the primary means of gas payment. But as I said, going forward, we'll introduce OZK and you'll be able to pay in both. And so getting to the native token and what that looks like, we believe in having something out there that has far more utility than just governance rights. Obviously, governance rights are important, and decentralizing the protocol as we go forward is a high priority. But away from governance rights, we think it's important that any token has significant utility. And so just mentioned the gas fees, which is the primary utility of the token. It'll be a deflationary model, and then there'll be some staking mechanisms that are introduced over time as well. So if you want to know more about this, please sort of have a look at our social media feeds. You'll see more about this and what we're going to do in the future over the course of December and into January. Lucas?
Yep. So like a lot of the layer 2s, we're EVM compatible. So what does that mean for developers? Obviously, we can just roll our Solidity and perhaps Viper contracts into it, using all the same tooling that you're used to, of course, hard hat, etc. Just pointing to our RPC node, and we should be going, and we should be away. So we've currently got a testnet up. I don't know if we're talking about this in a minute, Dave, but we've got a testnet up, Sepolia-based testnet, so you can use Sepolia ETH to deploy your contracts. Like I said, it's high performance for developers, so trying to get those wait times down. And like I said, we just retain the liquidity. So it's been bridged. We don't have any lockups. There's no sacrifice or anything from the user aspects. But like for developers, it's should be just plug and play.
So in terms of roadmap, we've got the testnet that's available now. It was only launched last week. Please go to openzk.net and check it out. There's a mainnet alpha that's likely to launch later in December, probably second half of December, you'll see that come out. There'll be an airdrop campaign that's launched in tandem with that. You'll see some stuff about that through later December and into January. And there'll be news around the token, those sorts of things as we get into January. So please follow us on Twitter. There's a Telegram group. Please come by the booth. We're just over near the networking lounge. Happy to take any questions over there. Thanks again for coming out, and hopefully see you all again soon.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, like I said, the layer 2 is obviously very crowded, but we're taking a punt on ZK technology. We think that's probably going to be the winner. I guess we'll see how this movie plays out. But like Dave said, thanks for coming along. Hope you learn a little bit. We've got a booth over there. Come and see us. Any tech questions, happy to try and answer. All right, thanks guys. Bitcoin, Moon, bags are full.